credit score increase by this much. This is what we're saying we can do for you. Take that increase. If you take that increase, this is another way of you to lower your credit utilization. And since I keep saying the word credit utilization, I want to make sure that you remember that it's 30% of your credit score. So the lower that utilization, the better it is for you. And I've told you guys 100 times how to calculate your own credit utilization, or you can get on one of these great apps, these great websites, and have your information in there, and they'll tell you what your credit utilization is without having to do the math yourself. So take the increase if that. So back to the original point. Point number 3: if your credit limit is lowered, then yes, it's going to lower your credit score. All right. Um, let me just leave that one right there. So we're halfway through the show. That's number 3. I'm going to, since we have about 8 or 9 of them, I have a bonus. Let's do this. I'm gonna do the question of the day right quick, and then we'll get back to it. So, question of the day. Before I do that, let me do some shout outs. Thomas Conley celebrated a birthday, so happy birthday to you. Two guns. Thomas Conley celebrated a birthday. A couple of my frat brothers celebrated birthdays. Shannon Hogan and Robert Marshall Jr. They both celebrated birthdays. So happy birthday to you, Rob and Shannon. And let me go on and finish them out. So Carla Baker, relative of mine as well. She is going to celebrate her birthday on the 13th. I believe she actually shares a birthday with Michelle Brantley as well, who's going to celebrate on the 13th, and Anissa Cook. All 3 of these women celebrate their birthdays on the 13th of this month. So I want to say happy birthday to each and every one of you. Happy birthday. All right, so let me get to the question of the day. So question of the day, let me scroll through here. Question of the day actually comes from Jessica, and Jessica is out of New Orleans. All right, so Jessica, I hope you had a good time with Mardi Gras. I hear people that live there don't stick around most of the time, but because so many people are coming down there and you're probably sick and tired of it, I understand. I used to live in Indianapolis, and for the Indianapolis 500 or the Brickyard, I would take my butt home because the city is ridiculous during that time. So Jessica from New Orleans, thank you for writing me. She sent me an email, 800@creditscoreman.com. That's where you can send your emails, and maybe you can become a part of the show as well. So you send your emails there. So Jessica said, she said, what's the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualified? And I was like, okay, great. That's a good question. And here's the answer. Nothing, basically. There's nothing different between pre-qualified and pre-approval. One company may use pre-approved, and the other company may use pre-qualified. It just kind of depends on what the company is. Now, there's a lot of people out there listening now that work for a particular company. You've been at that company for 14 years, and you guys only use pre-approval to, for people that are actually pre-approved. Like, they can come in, they can get this money right now. And so you're saying, no, that's not true. And I'm telling you that it is. I've worked for several companies that used to do this. A company that used pre-approved, it meant the same thing as pre-qualified. So typically, there's really no difference between the two. It really depends on the company and what the company means by that. So some companies, if you're pre-approved, you've already had a credit check. Like, they went and they've looked at your credit, and they've got some preliminary information on you because maybe you were a customer before, or they bought some information, so they kind of know what you make and what you do, how much money you might make and what you do, how long you've been on your job. And so they've done some of the things already. So pre-approved, they've done that. Other companies, their pre-approval is based on info. So they might be based on info that they already have, but then other places, they don't have that kind of information. So it just really depends. There's really no difference between the two. Now, here's something that I have found out. What I found is that those of us that hold on to that pre-approval letter like it's written in stone, and they want whatever the company has promised in that letter, no matter what their real situation is. Like, they could have filed bankruptcy yesterday. The company didn't know that when they sent it out, and these people walk in and they want to have whatever the company promised to them. What I found is that oftentimes we don't qualify. We simply don't qualify for whatever it is, and we have some kind of blemish that would keep you from getting whatever that deal is. those letters and those TV ads are just advertisements, really. That's what they are, to get you in the door. If you've improved your credit, and, your overall financial situation, you never got pre-approvals before, nobody ever sent you anything offering you any money, then great. You should be absolutely proud of yourself that you've done that. You should be flattered that they're sending those offers to you in the mail, because you've come a mighty long way, as they say. You've come a mighty long way. So, and sometimes you want to take advantage of them. If you've made this great leap from 580 to 720, you want to take advantage of those things, but only if you really need to. Only if you really need to. Just because they make an offer don't mean you got to take it. So if you need to take this offer, you've increased, then great. But eventually you'll be annoyed, by them, and the places that keep sending them to you, and you'll put them in a circular recycling bin, like folks that have been getting these pre-approvals and, all these offers in the mail, forever. So, Jessica, there's really no difference between the two. I wouldn't hang my hat on them. I actually did a little research about this, and when I was doing my research, some legalese was being thrown out there about being pre-approved or pre-qualified, and basically, for the most part, what it came down to, that it's really a company policy, and they can use those words and often use those words interchangeably. So that's your answer. There's nothing basically between the two. But if you are working on your credit score and it has improved, take it in there. See what they say if you really need something. But don't take each and every offer. Of course, you know that also, ironically, will bring your credit score down. If you go and you get new credit, right? That'll bring your credit score down as well. So, Jessica, thank you so very much for contacting me. You can contact me too, 800@creditscoreman.com. Jessica, you are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. All right, so I got another announcement before I go on. So I'm doing a financial seminar in Gary, Indiana on April the 6th. So all of Northwest Indiana, come out. Gary, Hammond, Maryville, Cherville, Crown Point, Rensselaer folks, y'all come on up. You in Lafayette, come on up to Gary for this spectacular day. I'm going to be speaking at the Aspire Academy. It's 4900 West 15th Avenue in Gary, Indiana. Starts at 8:30 a.m. It's really going to start at 9 o'clock. 8:30 is for registration. But you can go to Eventbrite. Go to Eventbrite, search Aspire, ASPIRE, Economics, and you can register there. So register for the event. You don't have to register, but it would be great if you did, so we know how many donuts to bring. You know what I'm saying? So register at Aspire Economics, and come check me out on April the 6th. I'll be there bright and early, and it's going to run till 1 o'clock. And it's for children, too. Bring your child. So the child care will be available. If you have an older child, Junior Achievement will be there as well, and they'll be talking to them about finances and things of that nature as well. And then you can come in and you can get some information about planning for the future, healthy financial practices, of course, credit restoration, and how that whole thing works, insurance and the importance of it. All of these things will be there. So you come out and check it out. April the 6th in Gary, Indiana, 8:30 to 1 o'clock. All right. So I think I'm off my soapbox for everything I had to advertise for today. So let's finish out things that will make your credit score go down. So number 1 was late payments. Number 2 was closing a credit card by yourself or by the lender. Number 3 was if that credit limit is lowered, right? So number 4, if you've applied for new credit. I think I just literally said that. So if you've applied for new credit, doesn't matter what kind of credit you're applying for, whether it's a mortgage or a vehicle or a store card or a Visa, MasterCard, whatever it is, if you apply for credit, that's going to bring your credit score down. You know, those inquiries can hit your credit report and your credit score for 2 to 10 points each. So if you apply for credit, absolutely, your credit score will go down. Number 5, you made a big purchase. So if you make a big purchase, then yes, your credit score can go down. If you make this big purchase and it shows up on your credit report, that means that you did so using credit, right? So like you can make a big purchase cash, that doesn't show up on your credit report. But if you make a big purchase, and big is relative, you might buy a washer and a dryer. You might buy a stove. That might be a big purchase for you. You might go buy a vehicle. But whatever it is that you do, if you make a big purchase, yes, your credit score will go down, at least initially, especially like if you're buying something that's an installment loan. Installment loan would be like a car, you bought a motorcycle or something of that nature, you bought a boat, whatever it is that you bought. Initially it'll go down because when you got an inquiry and now you have this new debt that's on your credit report, and no matter how good your credit score is and how you've done in the past, the credit bureaus view those big purchases as risky. So your credit score is going to go down a little bit. But let's say you bought something using a credit card. There's that credit utilization, that credit utilization, again, being impacted if you made a big purchase using a credit card. Now, this doesn't matter if you have a credit card that's sitting in your wallet with a zero balance and a $10,000 limit, and you use that. It's a big purchase. You're gonna increase your credit utilization. And then even worse, I guess, if you will, if you go and you use the store card, and this is your first time getting a card, you go to the furniture store, you pick out something, you get $3,500 worth of furniture or whatever it is, and they approve you for $3,500, and your bill is $3,500. You have 100% credit utilization on that particular card, that new card. So not only is it new credit, it's also an inquiry, plus it's 100% credit utilization. So all of those things work against you, and yes, your credit score is going to go down. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't go out and buy stuff when you need stuff. If you need stuff, you need to go out and buy stuff. You take the hit on your credit, you recover from it because you're going to be responsible, you're going to make the payments on time, all of those things. And some of you need to go out and buy some of this stuff because you have a thin credit file, and you need to have some things on your credit report. You need to have some things so that the credit bureaus have something to evaluate for you. If you don't have something for them to evaluate, then you lose out. You don't get the credit, if you will, that other people get by having things on their credit report and working through them and showing that you can manage them, thus showing your credit worthiness. All right. So, yes, if you make a big purchase, your credit score will go down. Number 6, you had an account, go to collections. Then that's a no-brainer. If you got an account, go to collections, it's probably was something that wasn't listed on your credit report before. Well, let's just say it's something not listed on your credit report before, like a phone bill or an energy bill or something of that nature, medical, things of that nature that are not on your credit report, and you have an account, go to collections on you. So now that's new on your credit report. That collection is going to make your credit score go down. So you want to avoid collections at all costs, because sometimes, more often than not just sometimes, it's more difficult to get them off of your credit report than it should be, right? So you want to make sure that you stop them from going to collections. Oftentimes, if you're making a payment, any kind of payment toward whatever that bill might be, then it doesn't go to collections. Even though they're asking you for $100 a month so you can get rid of this $500 debt in 5 months, but you can't do that, and you can give them $20 a month, send them $20 a month. Whether they agree to it or not. If you talk to them on the phone, you say, look, all I can do is send you $20 a month, even though they're going to balk at that, send them $20 a month. And then typically that'll keep you from going to collections. Because here's what happens at the collection agency or at the company or whatever. They have people that they're calling every day that haven't paid them a dime for 5 or 6 years. Here you are, a person that's been, communicating with them. You answer the phone every now and then, whether you're nice or nasty to them on the phone, but you answer the phone from them every now and then, and you said, look, I'm going to give you some money to knock down this debt, but here's what I can afford, and you're sending them money. You're doing better than most. So oftentimes they don't send you to collections, because then they would think, well, dang, this person is not going to pay us, because they're going to be ticked off because we sent them to collections and they were paying us. So send them something. If it's $20, if it's $10, if it's $50, if it's $5, send them something so it doesn't go to collections, because you don't want that to hit your credit report and thus bring down your score. So earlier I said what? I said some positive things can bring down your credit score as well if they hit your credit report or whatever, right? I talked about that. I talked about the different buckets. So listen to this one. Your last collection that you had on your credit report, you got one left. Maybe you had 10. You took care of all of them, or some of them fell off, or the company decided to help you and remove it from your credit report, you contacted the 800